Hiya, my name is Anil and I'm here today to introduce you to my business, Pet Instincts. We are using IoT to improve the mental health and well-being of pets and their owners because right now there is a problem. Almost two-thirds of us owners leave our pets home alone for 5 or more hours on a typical weekday, which might not sound like a problem, but animals like dogs literally have the mental capacity of a 2.5-year-old. So of course they'd be panicked and distressed when left alone. Wouldn't a child be? The combination of boredom, isolation, and understimulation can have a dramatic impact on a dog's well-being, causing the arisal of behavioural problems like separation anxiety, which affects 7.2 million of the UK's dogs. Symptoms include barking, whining, and in the more extreme situations, not eating, self-harming, and even escaping. We predict this number to be even higher due to COVID, as animals like dogs thrive on consistency and predictability. So whenever there's an abrupt change in their routine, like a global pandemic, it can cause stress. And you might have seen on the news, but the UK is literally running out of puppies, as people who wanted a dog before now have the time to get one and train it, but they aren't even aware of the problems that they face when we return to our regular routines. Yet another change causing more stress to our dogs. The issue is that owners aren't made aware of these problems altogether, or that they are occurring, as currently the market is so focused on a dog's physical health and location that their mental state gets neglected, and it can make it difficult to understand what level of care your pet needs. So the relationship breaks down, and what was once a best friend becomes a nuisance, who's either abandoned or put down. So what does the human side of this problem look like? Well, it involves a lot of stress and worry that your pet may be missing you, or destroying the house in your absence, or barking so much that your neighbors are complaining, which often leads to evictions, and the picture on the right is a really viral example of that. So here comes the solution, a product system that bridges the gap between dogs and owners when separated, enabling owners to monitor and care for their pet's well-being, even when they're away, ensuring that they are happy at all times. For IP reasons, we aren't able to disclose the full product concept with you right now, but you get the gist with this mock-up poster. So how did this journey actually begin? Well, it all started with my best friend Nikki and her separation anxiety towards me. On my placement year, I had the opportunity to study abroad in San Francisco, but what I didn't realize at the time was just how attached my best friend was to me. Literally a few weeks in, I got a phone call from my family letting me know how out of character Nikki was acting. She was depressed, she was unhappy, she wasn't eating for days on end, and she was very unsettled, which was completely heartbreaking because I was halfway across the world and there was nothing I could do to help my family or my best friend. After researching and trying numerous solutions, we found that nothing really worked for us. So I decided that when I came back for my dissertation, I would embark this problem and see if I could solve it with a product innovation. And these are some of the shots of me experimenting in the workshops, playing around with some form factor and model making, eventually leading into a final product delivery. And then this journey kind of came to a halt after I handed in my dissertation. I did what everyone does after you finish university, and I got a graduate job. Mine was at Heathrow doing UX design and research, during which I got the opportunity to interact with the co-innovate department at Brunel, meeting the legends Andy and Nam, who pushed me to apply for an innovation competition with my concept. And that's exactly what I did, and managed to come in second place. It always sucks not to win top prize, but the judging panel and the director of the CRL saw potential in my concept and actually awarded me some free time to work there and explore my concept and the business prospect of it. The CRL is a co-working space that has a startup accelerator. It's 10 minutes down the road, and I would recommend it to anyone who's thinking of starting a business. Now, some of you might recognize this famous spiral staircase on the right from The Apprentice. While hot desking at the CRL, I actually applied for an innovation competition, the Mayor of London's entrepreneurial competition. And with the business only a week old and the product still at concept stage, I somehow managed to get to the semi-finals, which was pretty ridiculous when you consider that everyone around me was a full team who had been working on their businesses for a few years now. And then there was just me. Overall, an amazing experience, which really gave me a boost of confidence towards the potential that this business and product could have. Soon after which, I applied for the CRL Startup Accelerator program and managed to get on their 6th cohort, which was a really incredible milestone for Pet Instincts. It gave us our first pillars of funding and support, and provided the resources to test the viability and efficacy of our product solution. Starting off by taking the concept apart, testing every single assumption, creating an ensemble of prototypes instead of the one final idea, interacting with numerous dog owners to understand the market, their pain points, and their behaviors, then meeting some amazing dogs for our prototype trials, which resulted in the owners actually refusing to give back our prototypes and buying them from us. A really significant and unexpected milestone of achieving our first sales. Very incredible. Soon after which, we were taken to China by the CRO to learn about the manufacturing process on site. Now, coming from a product background, it was very exciting for me to see all of the machines and processes that I learned about in lectures being used in real life. The experience gave me a great insight into the final stages of development, leaning into manufacturing, and has definitely prepared me for all the steps that I face when I come to that stage. Now, all good things come to an end, and so we finished the CRL with Demo Day, a public event of pitching the business to a large audience of over 200 people. A really great milestone and definitely a terrifying one, but on the whole, a great experience with a ton of networking opportunities. So up until now, Pet Instincts was surviving entirely from the CRL's initial grant. And towards the end of our time there, I got the opportunity to meet Simon Poulter from Santander and learnt about all of the amazing resources and funding options that they have for startups. The first grant I actually received from them was the SME grant, which funded a trip to the US where I was able to work with my product advisor, Christine, a pet tech expert who was the former director of product at Fitbit, who also happens to be an angel investor at the Princeton Board of Angels. So it was amazing to actually have some FaceTime working with her for 3 weeks, during which we had the chance to meet with a world-renowned dog behaviorist, someone who literally wrote the book on separation anxiety and behavioral problems years ago, and gave us great insights into how we could refine our product delivery to pioneer within the pet space. Now, taking on all this feedback, we refined our business pitch, which was a perfect timing for the venture competition, which we were actually fortunate enough to win in March. And the funding came at a really critical time for us, as soon after we were hit by COVID. And this was definitely an interesting tipping point for the business, as all of the funding opportunities and next steps we planned for essentially diminished before us, and it forced us to really re-strategize and rethink our next options. During this time, I was actually fortunate enough to receive my second grant from Santander, which provided me with some financial stability by giving myself a salary. Now, this ability to focus on the business allowed me to look towards our next steps. And one thing I realized quickly was that the business world that we were prepared for wasn't the one that we're in. And we need access to mentorship to help guide us through these uncharted waters. In comes Bubble, my new startup accelerator focused entirely on business growth. Officially, we are now partnered with a FTSE 100 company, and Bubble happens to be the world's largest educational institution within this business category. So we now have access to a network of business experts with backgrounds including Mars and pet care, as well as having a pool of talent at our disposal. And here's our team today. We have an amazing team of creators, mentors, and advisors guiding this business onto the road to success. And what's next for us? Our focus has primarily been on getting this business investment ready to close around 100K in the next few months. That will fund the development of our MVP prototype and, fingers crossed, launch the product by Q3 of next year. On the whole, this has been an incredible journey full of all kinds of ups and downs, so many new experiences, learning a lot and growing not only as an entrepreneur, but as a person. It's all a credit to the support I've received so far, and I'm incredibly thankful to Brunel, Co-Innovate, Santander, the CRL, and Bubble for helping me on this journey. Everybody needs help, and I think it's really important to realize that early on and look for what is already within your reach, like Brunel and the Entrepreneur Hub, before going out of your way for support. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.